Could a sitting head of state really be extracted from his own palace by a foreign military in the middle of the night? On January 3, 2026, the world woke up to a reality that many thought only existed in Hollywood movies. By early 2026, the standoff between Washington and Caracas reached a breaking point. Nicolás Maduro, who had held power since 2013, was facing a $50 million bounty and federal indictments for narco-terrorism. Tensions had escalated for months under Operation Southern Spear.
We're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country.
A U.S. naval campaign that saw American destroyers and aircraft systematically intercepting and sinking drug-smuggling skiffs and submersibles in the Caribbean. But no one expected what came next. Operation Absolute Resolve. The plan wasn't thrown together overnight. For months, the CIA had been operating covertly within Venezuela, mapping Maduro's movements. He was constantly relocating between 6 and 8 high-security locations. Intelligence officers utilized a high-level asset within his security detail to provide human intelligence, while signal specialists tracked the unique electronic signatures of his inner circle bodyguards. At 2:01 a.m. local time, the city of Caracas went dark. A massive cyber attack, later attributed to U.S. expertise, crippled the power grid. But the blackout was supported by physical force. As the lights failed, B-1B Lancers and F-35 Lightning IIs began precision strikes on the city's outskirts, targeting Russian-made S-300 and Buk M2E air defense systems. By destroying these radars and systems, the U.S. created a blind corridor for the extraction team to enter the city undetected. While the skies were filled with fighters, the real work was happening on the ground. Elite Delta Force operators, supported by FBI hostage rescue team members, were flown in by the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, the Night Stalkers. Flying just 100 feet above the terrain to avoid visual detection, MH-47 Chinooks and MH-60M Blackhawks descended directly into the Fuerte Tiuna military complex. The resistance was fierce. Despite the darkness, Venezuelan presidential guards engaged the helicopters with ground fire. One U.S. helicopter was struck, and at least 7 U.S. soldiers were injured. Overhead, MH-60 DAP Battlehawks provided suppressive fire, using 30mm cannons to clear the courtyard for the landing teams. On the Venezuelan side, casualties reached at least 80 people during the intense 20-minute firefight. The ground team breached the residence using explosive charges to move through reinforced doors. Inside, they utilized non-lethal acoustic devices to disorient defenders in the hallways. They located Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, in a corridor. The operation moved so quickly that Maduro was detained before he could reach his fortified safe room. Within minutes of the first boot hitting the ground, the radio crackled with the message, "Package secured." Maduro and Flores were moved immediately to a waiting Chinook, then flown at high speed back to the USS Iwo Jima, a naval amphibious assault ship positioned off the coast. By sunrise, the US released a photo of the former president blindfolded and in handcuffs on the ship's deck. By January 5th, he was standing in a federal courtroom in Manhattan, pleading not guilty to charges that carried a potential life sentence. Operation Absolute Resolve was a technical success, but its ripple effects are still being felt. While Maduro sits in a Brooklyn detention center, the government he left behind remains largely in place under acting President Delcy Rodriguez. The international community is divided. Some see it as a justified law enforcement action against a narco-state leader, but the majority, including the UN and major world powers, have called it a dangerous violation of national sovereignty that sets a new precedent for the 21st century. The fortress was breached and the leader was taken, but the question remains, does removing one man actually change the fate of a nation, or does it just leave a vacuum that someone else is already waiting to fill?